Hi, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Papermaze, and it's my first one of the year for Papermaze, so Happy New Year to everybody. This month I'm working with the Simple Vintage Weathered Garden collection from Simple Stories, and it's absolutely stunning. It's another collection from Simple Stories with beautiful patterned papers that I just adore. And I've started off with two of the papers, so I've got Sweet Moments and Fills My Heart, and I've used both the A and B side of Sweet Moments, so that's the one I've got in my hand or had in my hand, and the one I now have in my hand, and then the one at the back there, that larger one, is the Fills My Heart. And I've used my silhouette machine to cut some diamond shapes from the papers, making each one slightly larger than the one before. And off camera I've used my sewing machine to add a row or a line of white stitching all the way around the outside edge of these diamonds, leaving a little bit of a border so that I can then use my distressing tool, like you've just seen me do, just to ruffle up those edges and bring a bit of texture to the page. And I love distressing edges. I've got a little distressing tool that does the job for me. If you don't have one of those, your scissors will do just as good a job. You just use the side of the blade or the edge of the blade and just scrape it down the edge of the paper. The only thing I notice when I'm using scissors is I do tend to tear the paper a little bit more, which is fine if you're going for a really distressed look, but if you want something kind of distressed but tidy and neat, I really do recommend those little distressing tools. Very handy to have. So I've started off with these diamonds. I've added foam behind the top two layers. I'm going to frame this layout as a birthday present for my nan, so it's going to be a box frame, one of those really deep ones, so I can afford to have lots of dimension on this page, which makes me really happy because I love lots of dimension, and on this particular layout I don't have to worry about it going in an album and taking up loads of space. So I'm going for loads of dimension and using loads of foam just to build those layers up. So I've got my diamonds stuck together. I just drew around them quickly onto some white cardstock just to mark where they will sit. And I'm now using a distress ink in Bundled Sage, which is a lovely kind of mossy green colour, and it works really, really well with this collection, almost like the perfect match. I did try a couple of colours out. I tried Pine Needles, but it was a bit too dark. And I also tried Antique Linen, but it just wasn't right for the papers I was using today. But Bundled Sage was perfect. So I'm just using a blending brush. My normal blending brushes weren't picking up the colour for some reason on this one, so I've gone back to one of my old kind of Ranger blending brushes, the little foam pads, and I've just added some colour behind where those diamonds are going to sit. So before I sat down to start this layout, I had fussy cut a couple of flowers from the Hello Lovely patterned paper, and these are the larger two florals from that paper, but my nan loves flowers, so I definitely wanted to get some flowers on this layout, and there's loads of florals in this collection, so they're really pretty. So I've got those large two there. I'm going to tuck them in between my diamond layers, so not underneath all of them completely on the background, but I'm just tucking them in between those layers. So I'm going to add some foam behind them and bring in a bit more dimension. And just on the larger leaves and the flower petals there that are sort of on the edge, I'm just using my distressing tool again just to rough those up a bit for a bit more texture. And then working on my photo now. So this is a photo of my nan and my little boy. He absolutely adores my nan, and this is a really lovely photo I've got of them. So I'm gonna mount that onto white cardstock first, just to give it a bit of separation from the layout. I just like my photos to have a white border. And then I'm also adding a layer of green basil cardstock behind it. This is from the Matchmaker pack on the Papermaze website, and it's called Rainforest, and it's really lovely. Lovely green, goes really well with this collection. And it just helps to give a nice dark frame around my photo to help it pop off of those pattern papers. And again, I'm adding some foam behind that because, like I said, I want lots of dimension for this box frame. So a bit more foam behind that. I'm now going through the floral bits, the die cut pack, loads of florals, leaves and butterflies in this pack. And I'm just pulling out some more florals, a couple of sort of leaf sprigs, and then a couple of butterflies just to arrange on my page. I want to extend those clusters, make them a bit bigger, and then I'm going to have butterflies on the other two sides of my diamonds. I've chosen this moment sticker from the foam stickers sheet for my title. I absolutely love the foam stickers you get in the Simple Stories collections. They're always such beautiful fonts that they use, and I was really drawn to this Moments one. I loved the font, I loved the size of it, and it's a slightly darker green than the pattern papers I've used, so it doesn't get lost on the page. It stands out quite nicely and pops. So I'm going to have that central to my design across the bottom of my photo. And then I've got the chipboard stickers sheet here. That's I think it's 6x12. Yeah, 6x12 sticker sheet. I've pulled out a little tab or a little banner that says the best ever. So that kind of extends my title to be the best ever moments. So I've stuck that chipboard sticker above my title, and then I've pulled out 4 of the chipboard hearts as well, and I'm just going to have those just to the other 2 kind of sides of my diamonds, along with those butterflies, just to kind of extend those a bit more and just fill a bit more of the space so it didn't look so bare. I've also got the bits and pieces die cut pack from this collection. Again, it's just beautiful. Everything in this collection is stunning. I think I've bought all of it. I think I have actually. I'm just looking around at everything. I think I've got all of it, and it's absolutely beautiful. I've pulled out a few die cuts here, so I've got a little kind of bulldog clip notepad type thing that says loved this. I'm popping that up to the top of my photo. I've pulled another tab out or banner that says right here, that extends my title even more. So my title kind of now becomes the best ever moments right here, which I thought was lovely. I've also pulled out a little, they're like tickets. I've seen them in a few of the Simple Stories kind of vintage collections lately. They're gorgeous. And it says photos. I've popped that to the right of my photo, just kind of sticking out a little bit, just to have a little something there. But I didn't want it to overpower because I've got those 2 large floral clusters. So I just wanted a little something there, and that worked perfectly. Now I'm going around with my glossy accents, just getting things stuck in place. Normally with the chipboard I wouldn't bother using an adhesive because they've got a peel back sticky adhesive on the back. Normally I'd just stick them down and they'd be fine, but because this is going in a frame on a wall, I was a bit worried, like the sunlight hitting it, that it might dry out or the sticky might just not hold. So I have applied glossy accents to the back of pretty much everything that's stuck flat to the page. Just so that it kind of withstands time and being hung up on my nan's wall. And now I'm just going to get that main design element stuck down, because I've gone about building my layout and, as usual, stuck nothing down. And I stuck that bottom triangle or diamond, sorry, down flat, just because I wanted to make sure there was a lot of contact between that and the background, because it is quite heavy really once it's stuck on the page with all those layers of foam behind it, and like I said, it's going on the wall, so it needs to be strong. So I've stuck that down flat with some double-sided tape. And I'm just going to go around now with those floral clusters and my leaves, just distressing the edges a little bit and getting them stuck down. And I'm going to use some foam pads just to raise up the ends of those and curl the petals and the leaves, just to bring in a bit more texture and dimension. And once everything's stuck in place, I just go around the edges of those diamonds, just with my fingertips, just ruffling up those edges a bit more, just to distress them further. And now I'm going to add some splatters around the edges of my diamonds. I'm using the same colour, the bundled sage, and I've just watered it down slightly. and then just adding some splatters with a paintbrush. I'm going to soak these up with a tissue or paper towel pretty quickly. I didn't want anything too dramatic with my splatters, don't want them drying really dark. I just wanted a little subtle detail around the edge of that mixed media. So I've used the splatters and then dried them up immediately, so they're a little bit kind of more faded than they would have been had I let the ink sit there, but it's just the look I was going for, so that's turned out really nicely. And then I'm just going to finish my page off with a coloured border. So I'm using one of the patterned papers. It's called Cherish Today. It's that lovely checkered paper. And I'm going to have about 1/2 inch on each side, which is a lot more than I normally use. I would normally go for a 1/4 inch border, but because I know this is going in a frame, and I know from experience that the frames do tend to cover the edges of the page quite a bit, I've brought that frame in, made it wider so that hopefully you'll be able to see at least a little bit of it once it's inside the frame. So I cut about 1/2 inch off each edge of my white cardstock, just for continuity and just so that everything's kind of uniform. I've run my distressing tool down the edges as well and distressed the edges, and I'm going to add some white stitching to the outside edge of that before I stick it down to that pattern paper border, just because it helps my sewing machine not get clogged up. It's not having to run through double-sided tape at the moment, it's just going through cardstock. So I've done that before sticking it down, and then I'm just going to use some double-sided tape and get that in place. And again, just running my fingers around the edges there, just distressing it, turning the edges up slightly, just for a bit more dimension and texture. And I absolutely love how this page has turned out. I really hope my nan loves it too. I just love the papers. I just think they're gorgeous in this collection. They give you some close-ups there, and then I've got some photos to follow. But that is me finished for today. So my first Papermaze layout of 2022 is done. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video and the process. If you want to find direct links to all the products I've used, you'll find those over on the Papermaze blog. The collection is already uploaded on the website, so I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. But thank you very much for joining me. I will leave you with loads of close-ups now, and I will see you next time.